Vegas is going to be the #1 buy market in the U.S. in 2 years. So tech is eating the world, and it's the only investment area where you can get exponential return. And knowing that the more intentional you are, the higher the likelihood is that next year will be your new best year ever.
Today, we're going to show you how to just be the bank. This is the Puerto Rico Business Broadcast.
Live from San Juan, Puerto Rico. This is the Puerto Rico Business Broadcast. Now, here's your host, Daven Michaels.
Welcome to the broadcast today. I'm joined by a dear friend of mine, Dave Stech. Dave, we have been friends for about a decade and a half. I'm so excited that we're finally able to get you on the show. And can you share with everyone your history?
Happy to do it, but before I do, I want to make sure that I recognize you because recognition feeds the soul.
Yeah, it does.
And I think it's really important that you be recognized for two reasons. One, having the mother of all cruises.
Okay.
So we just got off it. It was amazing.
The San Juan
Kudos
Social
to
Club
you.
cruise. Yeah,
absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah.
And second, having made Liz an honest woman.
That's right. If you haven't heard yet, I'm getting married. I proposed to my girl after 17 years, which is hilarious.
For that reason, you have two things to celebrate.
Okay.
And I brought a bottle of Dom.
Wow, how
because
nice.
If you're going to do it, you're going to do it right, my friend.
How generous of you. Thank you so much, my friend. 2013, that was an excellent year.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, we knew each other about 4 years back in 2013. And you, Dave, you and I actually met, and thank you for this. This is wonderful. And we'll talk more about the San Juan Social Club cruise, too. I appreciate that. But before we get into it, you and I met back in 2009, and that's an amazing story. And before we get into it, though, can you just share with everyone your story and your history?
Well, I think briefly, as it relates to Puerto Rico, I moved here, I'm in my 11th year
11th
now.
year, yeah.
And it's been an amazing run.
You were one of the first decree holders.
I was.
You were an early adopter.
I was, yeah. I'm the guy with the arrows in the back.
Hey,
type
right,
of thing.
exactly.
You already talk about
yes,
that.
that's right.
But yeah, my background is I started in a trailer park for the first 20% of my life. And my parents were amazing people, but they had 8th grade educations. So the likelihood of me going to college was slim to none. I went undergrad at Purdue and then later to grad school, and life ended up becoming different. I ended up going to corporate America and spending way too much time in senior management with Kodak and Disney. And then I transitioned to be a tech CEO and had 3 consecutive entrances and exits. Eventually decided to take that nest egg and pivot to real estate. Real estate led into private lending, which led into being an angel investor in now 81 companies, and ultimately having added a 0 or 2 or more.
Yeah.
And it's been a great run.
Yeah, both of your sons have had amazing careers as well. We'll talk about the Stech family office in a moment as well. One of your sons has had 2, he's on his 2nd unicorn now, which is unbelievable. And I believe this is all because, and I know because you and I are close friends, because you and your family have been incredibly intentional. But one thing I want to talk about, first of all, is you were one of the first decree holders. We're going to be talking about, we always end up touching on Puerto Rico tax incentives. And one thing I like to make crystal clear is that with the exception of the investor credit, all of the tax incentives that we're sharing are available to all Puerto Ricans, all Americans, everybody. Also, another thing I want to make very clear is that you're not some entitled rich guy. You did not have a silver spoon. You grew up in a trailer park.
That's right.
You're self-made. So I just like to make that clear. But, if anybody wants to throw some arrows at you, they cannot, in my opinion. All right. So anyway, what was amazing, Dave, is that you and I met in 2009. There were tough times in the U.S. in 2009 for a lot of people, right? So you are an economist, you have a team, you study markets, and you've analyzed the markets for decades. And what you spoke all over the world, and I know every year you spoke at Harvard. And in 2006, you called the bubble. You were a little bit early. I'd much rather be early than not call the bubble. You called it early, and Harvard told you not to come back, right?
That's right. Yeah, in fact, it was actually March of 2005. And at that time, I thought that the market was ready to implode in as early as 2006. It hit its bottom, or I should say it reached its peak in May of 2007. And by February of 2009, prices in California had dropped 59% and Vegas had dropped 65%. And here I was in March of 2005 claiming that the market was going to implode.
Right.
And as you pointed out, pretty much got thrown out of the room until it turned out to be true. And then 3 years later, I got invited back in 2008, and everyone said, okay, you got it once. What are you going to do now? And I said, I think Vegas is going to be the number one buy market in the U.S. in 2 years. And of course, got thrown out of that room.
Mm-hmm.
And then got invited back 3 years later when I called the bottom of the market. And that has been an amazing run.
Yeah, and that's when you and I met. So it was 2009, and you and your people, you were buying up Vegas for, I remember, 10 to 30 cents on the dollar. It was insane. And I think you guys bought about 1,200 units in total, right? Something like that?
A lot.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
incredible. And that was a life-changing moment for you.
It was. It's one of that, what I call one of those leapfrog moments
Yeah.
where you're at a point where you're looking to transition to something that's even better than where you are now. And that happened to be it. And, what's the most important word in investing? It's the same word in life, timing.
Right.
You and I met at a specific time.
Mm-hmm.
You met Liz at a specific time. We got invested in Vegas at the exact right time. And we've been able to call it like that in the multiple markets that we've invested in ever since.
Yeah. So then, you were doing that. You were a real estate investor, an astute investor for years and years and years and years. And then at age 59, you discovered something that changed your life and changed the lives of so many people, and that was private lending.
Yeah.
So first of all, can you speak to private lending for those of you out there that are watching that don't even know what private lending is? Please explain all this and how you got into it.
Sure. And again, timing. I was at a mastermind. You and I are great fans of those U-shaped mastermind tables where everyone shares a hot seat.
And by the way, if you don't happen to know what a mastermind is, it's when a group of entrepreneurs or business people or like-minded individuals get together in a small group setting, sometimes for a day or a few days, to exchange ideas and help each other grow their businesses.
And share best practice.
For sure.
And I was there talking about not a best practice. We actually had purchased a $2.8 million home at the bank, sort of an auction, but not really, for $618,600 fully furnished. And I was on top of the world. And we started buying these luxury homes for pennies on the dollar. And then all of a sudden we had to sell it. Longer story than we have time for now, but it was uber successful and we had to pivot. And I was telling this story in front of a room, and guess who was in the room with me? My son, Josh. And Mike from Boston said, Dave, you just sold that property. Would you mind doing a loan for me? It's Saturday. My private lender turns out that he can't fund my deal after all. And I got to close on Tuesday or I'm going to lose the deal. And I said, Mike, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never done a private loan. Well, we scratched up the paperwork and ultimately did that loan. And our annualized return on our first ever loan was 58%. And I turned to my sons and I said, somebody's going to throw us in jail. This cannot be legal.
Right.
That was thousands and thousands and thousands of deals ago, only in the last 13 years. And then my son went on to create the largest private lender or hard money lender in America, that institutional company that is now worth $3 billion.
Yeah, it's incredible. So for those watching at home, I kind of know a little bit about private lending. I've done some of these loans and you've taught me a lot as well. People watching at home might be thinking, well, how can I make 58%? I can't charge 58%. So would you mind just sort of breaking down how that 58% annualized happened?
Yeah, and that one was a unique one.
Okay.
I don't try to represent that 58% is the average.
That's above
return
average.
you get.
Yep.
But at the time, a flipper needed the money for 31 days, and the going rate back in 2011 was 5 points. So 5 origination points. So if you did a $100,000 loan, you'd make $5,000. Well, if you look at that 5% over 12 months, it's an annualized rate in 31 days of about 58%. But the typical rates today are between 10 and 14% interest and generally 2 to 4 points worth of origination fee. So if you do a $100,000 loan, you're going to get an origination fee of $2,000 to $4,000. And if you do it at 12% interest, you get $1,000 a month. Well, that turns out to be 14 to 16% annualized return, which is an amazing return at this point in the market cycle, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Yeah, awesome.
If you're looking for an event space, a wedding venue, or a gorgeous getaway, let me introduce you to the Aqua Marina Beach Club, a no-kids beach club oasis in Rincon. This gorgeous property includes a boutique hotel with 15 beautiful guest rooms, rooftop lounge, 360 view, swim-up pool bar, event spaces, coffee shop and gelateria, and a stellar restaurant. All just a few steps from the beach. I love this place. I've thrown parties and networking mixers at their pool bar, great cocktails, beautiful ambiance. I've booked rooms in the hotel for several relaxing staycations. To learn more, you can visit aquamarinabeachclub.com or call 787-823-2593 to book a stay. And don't forget to mention the broadcast to grab an exclusive 20% discount. Aqua Marina Beach Club in Rincon. I'd like to share a very cool opportunity with you. Now, do keep in mind this isn't investment advice. You should always consult a professional before investing. I want to tell you about Mondax Group. Mondax provides alternative asset management and retirement solutions. Mondax takes a very patient and rigorous approach to investing, and their mission is to deliver predictable cash flows to their clients backed by strong, high-growth businesses that they invest in. Their private offering, the Axel Fund, is for reserved accredited investors only and pays out a whopping 16% dividend distributed monthly. The fund's underlying assets are independent trucking businesses contracted across the U.S. with a Fortune 50 company. So if you're interested in learning how you, as an accredited investor, can earn 16% potentially tax-free, give Jason Schur a call at 609-937-8064. He'd love to schedule a complimentary face-to-face lunch to show you all the details. For more info, you can visit mondaxgroup.com/Axel-Fund.
Now, you created a program to teach people how to do this. And obviously, I know that you're a teacher, you're a mentor. I know that you enjoy doing this, but also this brings you deal flow as well, right? So can you kind of share the program that you created called Just Be the Bank?
Sure. Well, it started in 2019, and it wasn't intentional. It wasn't a plan to be in the education space. We all know people in the education space, and I frankly stayed out of it all of my life because I was too busy making money to teach other people how to make money. And it's the same reason I never wrote a book. But in
Until
2019,
now, which we'll talk about.
yes, in 2019, a dear friend of mine had an exit from his company, had a wad of cash, and said, now what do I do? Should I do real estate? I mean, you know everything in real estate. And I said, well, I don't know everything, but here's what I know. Real estate is more complicated than people think. There are 6 F's to real estate. You got to find it, figure it, fund it, fix it, fill it, and flip it. And each one of those requires a different discipline. To find it, you got to source deals or be a marketer. To figure it, you have to like numbers. To fund it, you have to raise capital. To fix it, you have to be a contractor or know one that's reliable. To fill it, you've got to be in property management. And to flip it, you've got to be in sales. So people wonder why there aren't more successful real estate investors, and it's because each one of those is a different discipline. Whereas in lending, all you have to do is fund it. You write a check, get a bigger one back, get double-digit annualized returns. It's passive and recurring, unlike real estate. It's scalable, so you can build the kind of businesses that we have. And if you do it right in your self-directed Roth 401k or IRA, it's tax-free. And oh, by the way, it's a backpack business. I can do it from anywhere in the world. And that's how I pivoted. And my dear friend said, would you teach me that? And the next thing you know, we have this workshop called Just Be the Bank.
Got it. I love that. A backpack business. I've never heard that euphemism before. That's super cool. So Dave, we just got off the San Juan Social Club cruise with 458 unbelievable founders from Puerto Rico and beyond. For those of you that don't know what it is, you may not be a regular watcher of the broadcast. When I moved to the island about 7 years ago, I started a little group to bring people together called the San Juan Social Club. And we do an event once a month for free as a public service. And as a matter of fact, if you want to join the San Juan Social Club, simply Google San Juan Social Club and you can join. It's available to everyone on the island and anybody that's passing through. We do events once a month for free as a public service to bring people together. It's networking, food, friends, drinks, what have you. And once a year, we do a cruise on Virgin. And so last year was the first San Juan Social Club cruise. We had 238 cruisers. Our cruisers did $110 million in deals between each other. We just got off the second annual San Juan Social Club cruise with 458 amazing founders from all over the globe, about 65% from Puerto Rico, 35% from all over the world. And it was pretty awesome, wasn't it, Dave?
Unbelievable.
That's awesome.
That's why I call it the mother of all cruises.
And coming from you, that is such a huge compliment. You've been all over the world. You've seen events all over the globe. And I wanted to create an event that would make a difference in people's lives. And I think that's what we've created. This was not a new idea. It came from another group cruise that I'd spoken on for the last decade. And there were 3 byproducts that came from the cruise. One was I made tens of millions of dollars from those connections. 2, because it was a global audience. Those people went back and shared the word of me to their respective countries. That's how I became a global brand in my space. And all of my best friends came from that cruise. And the reason why is, when you go deep with somebody and you have a lot of time with somebody and you have great adventures with somebody, you become best friends and you go deep, you find more ways to collaborate, make more money together, what have you. And Dave, I have to say, you were by far our most popular speaker. And we had some incredible speakers, but you were definitely our most popular. Not only did you speak to our entire audience, but also we did breakouts, and you did a breakout every day. And it was super well attended. It was definitely the most highly attended meetup. People just loved what you had to say and what you were sharing. Can you share with everyone what you were sharing on the cruise?
Sure. Well, I was talking about kind of being intentional with your family. Our family does 3 things. We make money, do good, have fun every day. If it doesn't fit in one of those buckets, we don't do it. But just to say that is one thing, but to do it is another. And I started this whole mission with my kids when they were 5 and 7 years old, when I drew this triangle at the kitchen table and said, sons, there are 3 things you're going to do: make money, do good, have fun. Which one is the most important? And almost all entrepreneurs get this wrong. It's all about making money, because the more money you make, the more good you can do, the more fun you can have. And oh, by the way, the more money you make to do more good, and so on. It's a flywheel that you create. But the only way you create that is being intentional. So we grew from a family to a family office because our wealth started accumulating. And my whole thing is, look, if you want to be a successful family, you need to treat your family like a business. Have a mission, vision, values, strategies, objectives, key results, and priority initiatives. And those 7 things drive our family like they drive our business. And it's not about being less loving and being very methodical. It's being intentional and knowing that the more intentional you are, the higher the likelihood is that next year will be your new best year ever, every year. And that literally has happened to us for the last 13 years since we've been treating our family like a business, hence a family office.
And I want to talk to you more about that process, because you are highly intentional, which is, I believe, why you've had all the success you've had. Now, you said 13 years ago you started this process, and I happen to know because I asked you one time, the catalyst for this was Lifebook.
It was.
Right. Okay. So let me share this with everyone because I think it's a cool story. So John Butcher owns a company called Precious Memories.
Precious Memories.
Precious Memories. And it's a $1 billion company. It's been around for decades. It was passed on by his father, or maybe his grandfather.
His father was an artist.
Okay, and he took it to the next level. But John Butcher is a highly intentional person, and he attributes his success to the fact that every year he had a book that he chronicled all of his intentions for the following year, and it kind of took an inventory yearly of his life in several key aspects of his life and business. So it was his business, his personal life, his health, his joy, his family, etc. And he called it a life book. And he decided that he wanted to share this with the world. So he piloted this project and he created the Lifebook Lounge. And this was in downtown Chicago. And if you walked into it, it looked like a nightclub, right? It looked like a lounge, a very hip, cool lounge. And what he would do is, well, the first thing he did is he recorded maybe, let's say, 20 or 30 short videos where he talked about each single aspect of his life. So he would speak about his personal life. And so these were all pre-recorded. You would go into a life book lounge with a small group, maybe 10 to 12 people. You would have a life book facilitator there as well. And then they would show one of these clips to get you kind of thinking about that particular aspect of your life. And then you would chronicle that. You'd have your laptop with you and you take your notes. And they encourage you to bring pictures with you of things that inspired you and your family and so on and so forth. So you would continue to repeat this process in every aspect of your life. And then I believe right around day 2, they would take that from you and then you would add pictures and so on and so forth. And on day 3, they would give you your life book. And it was beautiful. It was beautifully done. It was a brilliant concept. And then the idea is that you continue the process on year over year. So Lifebook didn't really work out. I don't believe it's around anymore, but it was certainly ahead of its time. It was certainly brilliant on so many levels. I love the way it was delivered. I love the fact that the guru, if you will, or the instructor didn't even have to be there. That was genius because it was certainly scalable. Matter of fact, I bet today it would work, but who the heck knows? But you'd have an AI robot probably there or what have you. But anyways, it was amazing. It certainly inspired me, and it obviously inspired you. So can you share with everyone what you and your family do every year to continue this process?
Sure. Well, let me kind of frame it by helping everyone understand where it fits.
Okay.
So there are 3 pillars to our family office. The first one is research, the second one is investing, and the third one is optimization. So the first one is research. We spend a fortune every month on research with only one purpose, to try to figure out what's coming next. Because if you can figure out what's coming next, then you move to the second pillar and you place bets, better investments. For us, it's in our own companies, and then it's in others' companies, and it's real estate and it's private lending. Real estate, private lending, early stage technology companies are the only 3 things we invest in because we can control the outcomes. Well, why do we do it? And it's to optimize ourselves and our family. It's to optimize yourself, your family, your causes, and your legacy in that order. Well, John and Missy taught us how to do that. And that was in February of 2012. 4 or 5 months later, I sent both my sons, to the same exact thing I'd just been through. And I wanted them to go through it separately because, of course, kids don't always listen to what their parents say, but boy, did they listen to John. And that has been a practice that we've really built into our DNA. So every year in October, we ask ourselves 20 questions about the last 12 months and 20 questions about the next 12 months. It's called Reflections and Embarking. So reflecting and embarking on the next year. And now we have 13 years of each of us answering all those 40 questions. And when you go back and look at it, it's very obvious how we've added zeros.
Yeah.
Because our whole thesis is if we can add a zero, we'll be not only financially free, but we'll have time freedom, which leads to global freedom. And guess what? We've added more than one.
I want to take a quick minute to tell you about an organization that's very near and dear to my heart because I started it. The San Juan Social Club is at its core a community of extraordinary people getting together for food, fun, networking, and philanthropy. What started out a few years ago as a small gathering of friends has blossomed into thousands of entrepreneurs, business owners, movers, shakers, and change makers here in Puerto Rico. We hold monthly free social, learning, and community service events. We run an annual networking cruise, which is truly an unforgettable experience. Plus, We just started securing member exclusives on things like discounts for professional services, restaurants, and service businesses on the island and beyond. If you spend any time at all in Puerto Rico, we'd love to see you at our next event. Visit sanjuansocialclub.org to get on the invite list. Again, that's sanjuansocialclub.org. Hope to see you at our next event. Hey there, it's Daven Michaels. Welcome to the San Juan Social Club Cruise. Hey there, and welcome aboard the annual San Juan Social Club Cruise. I'm Daven Michaels, producer, planner, and founder of the San Juan Social Club, and I'm here sailing through the stunning Caribbean waters to give you a sneak peek into the biggest and best networking event in Puerto Rico. The San Juan Social Club Cruise is an unforgettable experience designed for Puerto Rico residents and those looking to learn more about Puerto Rico that want to network, make friends, and learn about all of Puerto Rico's vast resources and economic opportunities. Imagine spending a week with us, taking advantage of this one-of-a-kind adventure to unearth exciting business, expand your local network, and make a lasting impact on our community.
40 years of getting together in business groups. This is the most value I've ever seen.
Networking was spectacular.
I'm definitely coming back next year.
It is just amazing, like no other cruise.
One of the best investments I've ever made.
Way more than I could have imagined.
This is where to be.
I've met people from all over the world. People that are making the world a better place.
Really high caliber entrepreneurs and investors.
I'm blown away.
It's incredible, the energy.
It's a total party the entire week.
We're making so many friends.
Blew my mind.
The trip absolutely paid for itself.
We'll be here next year.
This is the adventure of a lifetime.
Networking and schmoozing while Caribbean cruising. Join us in paradise for the San Juan Social Club Cruise. See you on board.
Yeah, I would venture to think that the last 13 years have probably been your most successful 13 years.
by far.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I always say that the first 85% of my life, I was successful by everyone else's standards, senior management with top 50 companies and all that. Otherwise, I couldn't get rich. I couldn't get financially free.
Right.
I literally had to get out of my comfort zone. And I always say, and you've heard me say, comfort is the silent thief.
Right.
If you don't get out of wherever you are now, if you're comfortable, then comfortable is where dreams go to die.
Yeah. We don't grow when we're coasting. We grow more in the face of adversity. Yeah, for sure. So over the years, you've got into early stage tech. And can you kind of share how that happened and how you're evaluating companies and how you're investing in those companies?
Yeah, well, we have a 10-point framework for evaluating early stage venture deals, which I'm happy to provide your
That
audience
was great.
just as a favor to you. And I share that. There's no book to buy, there's no course to buy, but my son, he finished undergrad and grad at Stanford. He ended up coming to work with me. And at one point, my other son, Blake, joined us. And now all of a sudden, the three of us were making money, doing good, having fun. And I told my sons two things. First, after 4 or so years, you've learned 80 to 90% of everything I know, and it's not worth hanging around for the other 10%. If you can get greater access to people, to money, to ideas, you need to seize the moment, and I'll be the first check-in. I'll be darned if my son Josh didn't create a little company with 3 other founding partners, and I was the first, well, I don't know if I was exactly the first check-in, but I was one of the angels in that round with the CEO of Chase at the time, crazy.
Yeah.
And that became a $3 billion company. And then he went on to create another company with the former CFO of Airbnb. And now that company is, I think, close to a unicorn, $1 billion company again. So that was 2013. That was my first check. Fast forward to 2025. Now it's been 12 years, and we've invested in over 80 of those little companies. And several of them have gone on to become unicorns. And if you look at kind of the path of the S&P 500, in 2013, the big 7 companies, the Magnificent Seven, Google, Yahoo, or Google, um, Meta, all the companies, they represented 7% of the S&P 500, and now they're close to 30%. So tech is eating the world, and it's the only investment area where you can get exponential returns. Not all of them, and it's riskier, but we've de-risked it through the Stanford network, and that's been our unique competitive advantage.
Because you have access.
We do.
So let's
Exactly
talk a little bit about access. You have created a program for your upper echelon, if you will, the Access Insiders Group. Can you share with everyone what that's all about?
Yeah, again, another, as I call it, rectal extraction. I just pulled that out of nowhere, but we didn't plan on being a private lender, and we didn't plan on educating others to be a private lender, but someone asked, so we helped. And the next thing you know, we've got dozens of these workshops going on. At the second workshop, someone said, I love this private lending, but I'm curious what your family does. How do you guys operate? I mean, what do you do? How do you do it? And so on. And so we got up and created a flip chart, or did a flip chart, and Josh and I did a presentation on what our family does. And the same guy raises his hand and says, I want to do that too. And I said, well, we don't have any way to do it. And Josh interrupted me and said, I remember what you told me when I left to go start the little company that became the big company. He said, you need greater access. And he said, we should start something like Access, and we should make it available to everyone. And I said, well, hold on. By a show of hands, how many of you would be interested? And don't tell me what I want to hear, because if I create this and you don't come, I'm not going to be happy. And everybody's hands went up. And the next thing you know, we got a community called Access. They're not members, they're insiders. So if you think about the stock market, if you do insider trading, you get thrown in jail. In all the other areas of investing, if you're the first one with the knowledge, you're the one that gets rich. You're the one that adds the zeros. So we put together Access, and our community is a community of high net worth insiders who are all accredited, who want to invest together and kind of want to cheat off our family in a good way.
That's really cool. How many members of Access? Babe?
Roughly 100.
That's great.
We've never spent a penny on marketing for either workshops or Access. Why? Because it's not really a profit center for us. 95% of all of the money that we make every year is passive and recurring, but we did it to help others and to be able to do it together as a family. So when you can teach others, it's very fulfilling.
Yeah.
So it parallels financial reasons. You have fulfillment reasons for doing it, and it's worked out great.
Yeah, I think there's a misnomer out there too that when it comes to the mentee-mentor relationship, that all the benefits go to the mentee. I think just as much, if not more, go to the mentor. It's the most empowering thing I've ever experienced. Making a difference in other people's lives. So.
And it applies to families too. Daven, what you don't learn, your kids will inherit.
That's right.
So you have to be on a mission for more. So if I can create a community and help them, I can do it with my sons. We become better teachers because we become a student of everything we're teaching. And ultimately, it gives us outsized results as a result of doing it together with others. So to your point, we thought we were doing it for others, and we didn't really stop to think that the biggest benefactor is us.
Yeah.
By helping others get to where they're going.
Absolutely. The more you give, the more you get.
Right.
It's the law of reciprocity. So, Dave, let's talk a little bit about the deliverables. So if somebody wants to come to Just Be the Bank, how does all that work? What's the program?
I should have brought it, but we just wrote a book. Shame on me.
Let's talk about that too.
So we gave it out to everybody on the
cruise. Yeah.
And we know what the response has been to
What's the name of the book?
It's called Just Be the Bank.
By the way, I just want to tell you, I ran into a couple of people on the ship that read the book on the ship, and they loved it. And they read the book on the ship. That's impressive.
And the book was written in such a way as to be able to read it on an airplane.
Yeah, it's an airplane book. Yeah.
So everybody read it on the, well, I wouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people.
Yeah, I thought it was just great.
Yeah. So Just Be the Bank, how to be a successful private lender to real estate investors.
Yep. And so tell us about the program. How long is it? How do people go to it and take
Sure.
it? Yeah.
So Just Be the Bank is not just the book,
Right.
but it's always been a workshop, which is 2.5 days over a Friday and a Saturday and a half day Sunday, because that seems to have worked out for everyone really well. But unlike our first 3 workshops pre-COVID that were live in person, where you had to take an extra 2 days to fly there and fly back, you couldn't make income generally the 2 days you were flying, and you had airplane tickets for 2 people and hotels. It was just crazy, and we pivoted to a workshop that's live but online with both modules and Zoom calls where we can answer everyone's questions. And on a 1 to 10, with 10 being the most successful, people rated a 9.91 out of 10, and these were already successful, accredited folks. So it's worked out incredibly well for us, and for those in the San Juan Social Club community, it's half off.
Oh, that's great. So can we say that our viewers of the Puerto Rico Business Broadcast can get that same half off?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. That's neat. We'll give out the link to that in just a moment. We'll make sure to put it in the show notes as well. And then let's talk about Access. What if somebody wants to get into Access and become an Access Insider?
Well, at the risk of giving 2 emails, I'll just give one.
Okay.
So if people go to dave@justbethebank.com, so justbethebank.com, Dave at, they'll be able to get in touch with me. It's directly to me. We don't have a sales force or anything like that. We're a family office. We're not just curious. We're serious about this stuff. So if people are serious but not just curious, we'd love to be able to hear from them. And then just dave@justbethebank.com and reach me, whether it's about Access, our high net worth community, or our workshop on private lending.
Fantastic. And what about if they want to read the book? Can they, I mean, obviously they can email you. Can they get the book on Amazon as well?
They can. It's not out yet.
Okay.
We only pre-released it to those that were on the cruise.
Fantastic.
In the spirit of our relationship.
I appreciate that.
But yeah, we're going to have it on Amazon within the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
And it'll be good to go.
So then by the time this airs, I'm sure it'll be on Amazon.
That's right.
Dave, I want to thank you for being with us today. I definitely want to bring you back again in the near future. Will you be on the next cruise with us next year?
Of course.
Okay, well, that's fantastic because they absolutely loved you. And if you're enjoying the broadcast, make sure to like and subscribe. And also, we have a new hotline. If you send us a text, you can actually text us at 786-789-1279. That's 786-789-1279, and we will let you know every time we drop a new episode. We hope you enjoyed today's broadcast, and until next time, this is Daven Michaels. Live your true life adventure. Bye for now.